June 7th, 1992. Morning light reaches a small house on East Delmar Street in Springfield, Missouri. 3 women lived there the night before. Their cars are still in the driveway, their purses, their keys, their shoes, untouched. No sign of a struggle, no broken window, only a porch light shattered and a front door left unlocked. Sherrill, Levitt, her daughter Suzie, and Suzie's friend Stacy are simply gone. But to understand what happened on East Delmar Street, we have to go back one evening earlier. This is the 6th file in this archive. The first where the number of the missing is 3, not 1. Stacy McCall is 18. Suzie Streeter is 19. On June 6, 1992, they graduate together from Kickapoo High School at a ceremony held on the Southwest Missouri State University campus. Sherrill Levitt, Suzie's mother, sits in the crowd. She is 47, a cosmetologist, recently on her own after her second marriage ended. She and Suzie have lived in the house on Delmar Street only a couple of months. Long enough to unpack, not long enough for neighbors to know their routines well. After the ceremony, the school offers an alcohol-free lock-in until 8 the next morning. Stacy and Suzie skip it. Teenagers on graduation night rarely choose the supervised party over the unsupervised one. They move between a handful of house parties instead, the kind that exist in every American town the week school lets out. Friends' basements, borrowed cars, plans that change twice an hour. Nothing about the evening stands out to anyone who was there. No argument, no stranger anyone remembers noticing twice. Sometime near 11, Sherrill is on the phone with a friend discussing something almost aggressively ordinary. Repainting a chest of drawers. It is the kind of detail that means nothing until it becomes the last confirmed word from someone. Near 2 in the morning, Stacy and Suzie decide they've had enough of a crowded house and head back to Sherrill's home on Delmar Street to sleep. It is a 5-minute decision, the kind made and forgotten thousands of times a night across the country. One detail investigators would return to for decades. When the girls pull into the driveway, Suzie's own car is not parked in its usual spot. Someone or something was already occupying that space before they got home. They go inside anyway. The house is quiet. Sherrill is presumably already asleep. Nothing about the rest of that night is confirmed by any surviving witness. By mid-morning, a friend named Janelle Kirby grows concerned. Suzie and Stacy were supposed to come by hours earlier. Kirby drives to the house on Delmar Street and lets herself in. The living room looks undisturbed. Sherrill's purse sits where she would have left it. Her bed appears slept in. Coffee cups, ordinary clutter, nothing overturned. Suzie's car is in the driveway. So is Stacy's. So, eventually, investigators confirm is Sherrill's. 3 women, 3 vehicles, none of them used. Whatever happened, no one drove away from it. Outside, the porch light fixture is broken, the glass scattered near the step. Investigators never determine whether it broke that night or had simply been broken before and gone unnoticed. Then comes the detail that unsettles almost everyone who works this case. On the answering machine, there is a recorded message from that night. What exactly it holds is something this file cannot state with full confidence. Accounts of its content differ, and the original tape's evidentiary history has never been laid out cleanly enough for this archive to describe it beyond its existence. Investigators at the time considered it significant enough to analyze repeatedly. No blood, no forced entry, no sign that 3 adults were removed from a small house without at least one of them making noise. Police canvass the neighborhood. No one reports hearing anything unusual that night. Within days, this stops being a routine missing persons case. Springfield police request state and federal help. The FBI opens a file. Missouri's Highway Patrol commits investigators. The search becomes one of the largest in the state's history. Volunteers walk grid lines across rural properties. Divers check ponds and quarries. Cadaver dogs work wooded land for miles outside the city, season after season, for years. Search warrants are executed on multiple properties. Aerial searches cover ground on foot teams cannot reach. None of it produces a body, a bone, or a single confirmed piece of physical evidence connecting to the three women. Over the following 3 decades, more than 5,000 tips arrive. Confessions surface and collapse under basic questioning. A man serving time for other crimes claims involvement, then contradicts himself under cross-examination. Another lead points to a local gang and produces nothing provable. A different investigation strand focuses on men with documented histories of violence against women in the area. None is ever charged in this case specifically. Names are floated in podcasts, forums, and press retrospectives for 30 years. Amateur investigators publish their own theories online, confident enough to name suspects the actual case file never formally names. None of it results in a charge. I've read 5 files before this one. In every single case, more evidence has never meant more answers. Here, the ratio is almost absurd. 5,000 tips, 3 decades of professional and amateur investigation against 0 arrests. At some point, a case doesn't just go cold. It becomes its own small industry of theories, documentaries, amateur reinvestigations, true crime tourism to a house that no longer even stands the same way it did in 1992. None of that attention has produced Sherrill, Suzie, or Stacy. So what does this file leave us after more scrutiny than almost any case in this archive? 3 broad explanations, same as always. And I'll be honest about how little separates them here. A stranger already at the house when the girls arrived, waiting or searching, interrupted by their return. This accounts for the missing parking spot and the broken light. It does not explain how 3 people, one of them a grown woman, likely still partly awake, were removed from a house without a sound loud enough for a single neighbor to notice. Someone known to the household, a returning ex-partner, a person with a key or a reason to be there. This would explain the lack of forced entry and why a dog, if the family had owned one, might not have raised an alarm. It has never been supported by a named, charged suspect in over 30 years. Despite investigators reportedly looking hard at people close to the family, multiple offenders working together, capable of controlling 3 adults at once without a struggle loud enough to wake a neighborhood. This is the theory that best fits the sheer logistics of the scene. 3 separate people, at least 2 of them young and capable of fighting back. It is also the hardest theory to ever prove, because it requires more than one person to have kept the same secret for 3 decades without a single confirmed slip. The porch light in the parking spot suggests planning. The lack of noise suggests either surprise, familiarity, or force applied very quickly. The answering machine suggests something happened that night worth recording over, or worth investigators listening to more than once. None of these fragments contradict each other. They just don't add up to a name. I said it plainly earlier, and I'll end on it. This is the 6th case file in this archive, and the pattern holds again. The volume of attention a disappearance receives has no relationship to whether it gets solved. Sherrill, Levitt, Suzie Streeter, and Stacy McCall have had 33 years of searches, tip lines, task forces, and public fascination. They still have not had an answer. The file is still open. The porch light was never repaired the same way twice. Next in the case files, a stretch of Virginia highway in the late 1980s where 4 couples never made it home. And investigators still argue about how many killers that requires. If you think the forgotten cases deserve to be remembered, subscribe. The archive stays open late.